Where there is two, there is one. Where there is one, there is none. That's what all the preppers tell you. So, hey everybody, Wyoming James checking in from the Urban Micro Farm. Well, it is day 54, day 54, and we are headed out here to the garden, check on our little friends, just see how they're doing. So let's slip over here and take a quick peek. Hey birds! There's all of our little friends. I think they're hungry, so let's go ahead and give them some food, and then we'll head out to the pasture real quick. All right, so out on the pasture, check on our friends here. Hey birds. Hey birds. Let's see how everybody's doing. Hey birds. Everybody happy? Everybody looks happy. Got one roosted up on the water there. I think we're doing all right. Let's just do a little perimeter. Doesn't look like anybody's tried to get in. No digging. No feathers strewn about. Well, that's good. That's good news. All right, so let's get these tractors moved, and I'll check in with you before we head home. All right. Well, as we stare down the barrel of day number 60, I was recently reminded by going back through and watching some of our video that I have omitted a few important things that I had promised you guys that we would talk about. And one of those things is the tools that I use every single day out here on the chicken farm. They're things that I use not every day, but they're things that I have with me every single day. And number one in those, of course, is my neck knife. Lefty Miller noticed once upon a time, and he sent me a private message. He's like, hey, what is that black thing that you're carrying around your neck? Well, it is probably the most important, the most valuable tool that I have on a day-to-day basis. Some of you who have a real sharp eye have seen me skin this knife out of here, cut apples, cut rope, whatever. So it's my neck knife. It's like I said, the most important tool I have. It's the first thing that I put on when I get out of bed in the morning. Most times I'm wearing this knife before I'm even wearing pants, and sometimes I'm still wearing the knife after I've taken off my pants for bed. Mandy tells me, you know what, take your knife off, don't wear it to bed. So I get up and I put it on the dresser, and if you don't believe me, you can ask her. So, but it's a very important tool. It's indispensable in my opinion. This particular neck knife was given to me by a good friend of mine, Jameson, and he gave this to me. I was admiring one of his. He came down and helped me set up my hunting camp one year, and I was admiring his, and it's a Gene Ingram. It's a Gene Ingram neck knife. It's, hopefully we can get in on that nice and close. Made by a gentleman named Gene Ingram. It has carbon fiber scales. That's what the knife makers call handles, but it's got carbon fiber scales on it, and it's S30V steel. So it's a really great knife, and like I said, it's so indispensable. It's so handy. I don't know how I ever got through life without having this knife. It's, you know, I can have a handful of something and reach up and grab the knife and start using it. So it's a little sketchy putting it back in. You know, you don't want to do it one-handed, but it's there. It's always handy. Now sometimes when I bend over, it comes out and it gets in the way on rare occasions, but for the most part, it's, like I said, it's the most handy tool I've ever owned. So, Jameson, if you're watching this, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. I wear it every single day. When I have to dress up and look good for Mandy, I'll put it under my button-down shirt. But for the most part, I'm wearing it. So that's the primary tool I use, and I use that more than anything else on the place. One of the other things in my everyday carry, or EDC as they call it, I didn't invent the term, but it was brought to me, and I like to use it because so many times we find ourselves in situations where you're like, if I just had this, if I just had that. I don't want to find myself in one of those situations. So if we're rewinding all the way back to when I'm 13, 14 years old, I used to trap and coyote call, predator call with my good buddy Fuzz McNamara. And Fuzz, one of the things that he taught me was that you should always, always, always have a lighter on you, and I do. I carry a lighter. I don't smoke, but I always have a lighter because, as Fuzz used to tell me when I was just a young boy, he says, "You never know where you're going to fall down and break your leg. You might need a little fire, a little warmth." So I carry that every single day in my pocket. It goes from one pair of pants to the other. One of the other things that I carry, those of you who know me really well will recognize this. This is my pen. And I put the emphasis, maybe I didn't put near enough emphasis on it, but it's my pen. Nobody touches this thing. It's mine. It's four-color for a reason, because you go to certain places and they want you to sign in blue ink or black ink. Yeah, well, I got it covered. I don't want to touch your grubby pen that 60,000 people have put in their mouth before they borrowed it. So, like I said, a lot of you who know me really well will recognize the pen. So, one of the other things I carry, where there is two, there is one. Where there is one, there is none. That's what all the preppers tell you. So I also carry a pocket knife. I've carried a pocket knife since I was just a young lad. I've had this one for 20, 25 years. So maybe even longer, actually, now that I think about it. But I've had this knife for a long time. It's just a real simple a Wenger Swiss Army knife. Lots of functions. Probably the most function I use is that Phillips screwdriver blade right there. So I carry that. And then one of the other things that I carry on my person every day, all day, is a flashlight. That night that I went out there to check on the birds, this is the flashlight I had. I had it in my pocket of my those shorts that I was wearing, and went out. So actually, I put on the shorts, grabbed this out of my pocket, didn't grab anything else, just grabbed the flashlight because I knew I'd need it. How many times have you found yourself looking for something under a car seat after dark? Or how many times have you found yourself going out and turning off the water to the lawn after dark? It's nice having it, and I do have it. It's fairly compact. You know, it fits in your hand, but it also fits in your pocket, and you don't even realize it's there. So a flashlight is pretty indispensable to me. So, and then lastly, it doesn't get used all the time, but when it gets used, I am so glad I have it. And that's this little gem right here. Carried on me every single day. Now this is my High Country Hanks handkerchief. Up until about a year and a half ago, I was not a handkerchief guy. My dad, God rest his soul, he was a handkerchief guy. Carried a handkerchief every single day of his life till the day he died. And he had a handkerchief. He had one of those old either blue or red or black paisley hankies. And I can't tell you how many times the old man either patched me up or wiped my hands off or wiped my face off or whatever with a handkerchief. He was always handy. It was always handy for him to have it. And, you know, I thought it was the most disgusting thing in the world watching my old man blow his nose in his handkerchief and put it back in his pocket. But I'll tell you what, this one has yet to see, like I said, about over a year and a half. Every day I've carried this for over a year and a half, and I've yet to blow my nose in it. Now then, this thing has daubed some tears. It's daubed some blood. It's cleaned my hands up when I needed it to. It's just handy. I don't know, again, one of those things, I don't know how I ever got away without having one. And of course, it's branded. Yours truly, Wyoming James, wouldn't be caught with anything less than a Wyoming branded handkerchief. So this thing is just handy. I can't tell you how many times you pull out your Gene Ingram knife and you're cutting away and you cut yourself and you're out here, you got nothing else. Now, I could sift around through the floorboard of the pickup and probably come up with an old napkin or something, but I'll tell you what, this thing has been so handy for getting me at least back to town or to the point to where I can get a Band-Aid or something on it. So that's one of my other things. That one is brought to us by my friends at High Country Hanks. They are on Instagram at High Country Hanks with an X, H-A-N-X. So if you're an Instagram person, slip over there and see them. If you're not an Instagram person and you want to get your hand, they have such cool designs. If you want to get your hands on one of these and you're not an Instagram person, let me know, and I'll shoot you some pictures of these. I'll screenshot them, and then I'll help you get one of these or a couple of these if you like. Wyoming James is changing the world. I think the handkerchief thing, I think it died with my dad's generation, but I'm gonna bring her back here. So another handy thing I have on my person every single day. Now then, moving on to a couple of the tools that I use that are just always on the truck or in the truck. Number one that I use is fencing pliers. Fencing pliers, I've always been amazed at how versatile fencing pliers are. And here again, just a real quick one for those of you who don't know, fencing pliers are so multi-use. They have, first of all, they have a flat spot on here. That's a hammer for pounding fencing staples, things like that. Has a puller here, but I'll tell you what, I have had better luck grabbing onto them and then rolling it and pulling them. And it also has two different size wire cutters on it here. And then pliers right there. I can't tell you how many nuts and bolts I've unfastened with a set of fencing pliers. And then down here it's got, I don't know what those are for. I'm guessing just nut crackers. So if you're out here and you got some of those Brazil nuts. So we've got the nut cracker on here. So anyway, fencing pliers. Fencing pliers are super, super handy. And then to go along with those, I always have some wire. Always have some wire laying around this truck. After all, it's a Ford. It's a Ford. At some point, I'm going to need some wire at least to get back and forth. If not, for things on the chicken tractors or the dozer. On a couple of occasions, we've had to come out here and we've had to rewire the tarps down to the frame. So that's one of those deals that we find super handy. So, and last but certainly not least is our friend. This is our friend Laura Hancock. Now Laura goes everywhere that this pickup goes. If this pickup is on the move, our girlfriend Laura Hancock is with us. So, and Laura Hancock is just a Smith & Wesson. It is a Smith & Wesson model 617, and it's a 10-shot revolver in the 22 long rifle. This is probably the most handy thing ever. Again, this was a gift to me. I love having the friends I do. This was a gift to me. My good friend Gerald Gay, Representative Gerald Gay at the time, gave this to me, and he gave this to me on a day where he was running for state legislature, and he had asked me to attend a press conference that he was doing, and he had just suffered a I don't remember what it's called. I call it transverse myelosiris, but I know that's not the real thing. But it's this thing that where his basically his immune system attacks his nerves, and it essentially paralyzed him. So here was our friend Representative Gay, and he was using a walker to walk at this point. And so because of that, he asked me to come and kind of assist him and help him get up the stage and get to and from the interview. So I did. And some of the points he made were rather controversial, so he got mobbed by a couple of reporters for our left-leaning newspaper, and they literally mobbed him. He was trying to leave the interview, and they were physically assaulting him, trying to grab him and make him stay. So I had to get between him and a gentleman, and I use the term gentleman loosely. I had to get between him and this guy because the guy was just had his hands on him. So I got between him and kind of looked him in the eyes and told him, no, you're not going to do this. And then I just had to, so this gal, whose name rhymes with my handgun's name, she wouldn't give up. So I ended up having to get myself between her, and then she wanted to know my name and wanted to do a write-up on me because, I was impeding her First Amendment rights or something. I don't know, but it was all a bunch of crud. But so nonetheless, after that day, my friend Gerald bequeaths me this handgun, and so because of that, I named it that. You can rewind it if you want, but anyway, I named it Laura Hancock because she is such a left-leaning, anti-everything Wyoming that I decided to go ahead and name this lethal handgun in her honor. So So that's it. So that's the basic tools that I do not go anywhere without. So I got to tell you, without these things, I wouldn't have done a lot of this. As you guys know, so you've watched some of the videos, so you've seen me put some of these tools to work. But not just chicken farming, but everywhere. I'm not kidding you. I can't tell you how many snakes this little thing has killed, and how many times, how many soggy tears this thing's soaked up, or how many times I've pulled the tweezers out of this little guy to pull out a cactus splinter or something, or how many times I've been working on the old Cobalt Blue panty dropper and had this in my mouth so I can stab a bolt or put a nut on. So I'm telling you guys, I don't care if you live in the most urban area in the world. You should have some everyday tools that you use to keep you out of situations where you get truly in a bind. I think about our friends down there in Texas, and our friends down there in Florida who they're in for some bad, nasty weather, and just having a couple of things. Now, I'm not talking about a flashlight or a pocket knife, but if you can surround yourself with everyday things that will help you in a time of disaster like that, things are going to go so much smoother for you. That's why I do this. You know what? I don't carry a gun hoping to come out here and shoot a skunk every day. I carry a gun because if I do come out here and I find a skunk in the trap, I'm going to have to shoot him. I'm going to have to protect what's mine. So that's just it. And I'll tell you what, even something as simple as a pen, it is so handy to have a pen. How many times, and in your own world, how many times has somebody said, I don't have a pen? Guess what? I've never said that. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. This has been really fun. Kind of little in-depth view of what makes me tick. I'm not all chicken farmer all the time. I'm just a tad bit of a prepper and a whole bunch of a country boy. So love having you guys once again. If you have any questions about my everyday carry stuff, if you have any comments about things that you think I should be carrying that I'm not, just put them in the comments down below, or shoot me a private message. You guys know that. So until next time, Wyoming James checking out from the Urban Micro Farm. Adios.